just want to know something before we start on Kanban boards. How many of you use some kind of Kanban board? It could be the physical board on which you post-it notes. It could be some software version of it. Anyone here uses Kanban boards?
Is Miro also part of it?
Yeah, Miro is a Kanban board.
And use it for one purpose.
Yeah, so they're the popular ones these days, Miro and Jira. Miro is edited version of Kanban board is what I can say. Kedar uses. The rest of you
Yeah.
who are working on Agile, you don't use Kanban boards? Strange. Uh,
Jira. I've used Jira.
you use Jira. So, especially while working on Kanban boards, all the Agile practices encourage, while working in Agile, all the Agile practices encourage Kanban board. Scrum also, people use Scrum. On the Scrum projects, on the Scrum teams, people use Kanban boards to help them work. Scrum is not against Kanban boards. So think of any agile practice. They'll be using Kanban, those teams will be using Kanban boards. Kanban boards are basically at the um, purest level, if I may say so. They are boards on which you post the post-it notes. Then you can have multiple Kanban boards that are related to help you visualize the work. So typically what's happening here? Here you can see that there are multiple Kanban boards. One board is ready board. One board is developers board actually, or it's split into two boards, and one board is for the system testing, and finally this is the done board. Now, what happens is we'll not think about these figures first. Let us just see what is happening without mentioning those figures. So there are some stories on the ready board. What does that mean? The team has cleaned or the team has refined some stories. When I'm saying team, it is the development team and the product owner. All of them together have refined some stories, and the stories are now in position to be picked up. The team can start working on any of these stories. So those stories are decomposed if required. Those stories are clearly explained to the team. Those stories have a good definition of done. If any test data is required, any information, additional information is required, it's there with the story. Everything is ready. The team can simply pick that up and start working. That is the ready story. So my team has a few ready stories. What they do is they pick up, say, three stories. Once they pick up three stories, they start working on them. When they finish the stories, they keep the stories on done board. When there are stories on done board, the systems team or team members, this is actually one team split into two parts. So systems team can pick up the work that is completed by dev team members. They need to do the systems testing on it. When they finish systems testing, everything is done and it can be released to the customer if required. So it is a fully done story. From the moment my team picks up a story till the story goes to the done board, this is what I might be interested in as a facilitator or any senior member. How much time finally it is taking the story to go out of the cycle? from the moment my team picks up till the moment my team delivers. If something is going wrong, if it is taking too long, I have to understand at which point the team is not able to take the work ahead. So for me, it becomes an important concept to understand how much time my team is taking from once they pick up for development till they deliver finally. So that is called cycle time. For me, cycle time is important. For customer says, we also want to know how much time you people are taking to pick up a new story. So from the moment the story comes on the ready board till it gets delivered, that is what we are interested in. So that is what is called lead time. From the time the story comes on the ready board till the story is delivered to the customer, that is the lead time. So this is the simplest form of um, Kanban. Peculiarity of Kanban is, what do we do in Agile? We say that only completed work counts. Do you know from where this concept has actually come? Lean comes from Agile. Agile comes from Lean. I'm really sorry. Agile is a child of Lean. So Agile borrows all the Lean principles and concepts. So one of the concepts there is only work that is completed counts. So that's where Agile has taken that concept. So Kanban is also child of Lean. Kanban also takes the same concept. Something that is completed can be counted as completed, delivered. The work that you are doing, which is in progress, is not completed. You cannot get credit for that. It's not delivering any value, neither to you nor to the customer. So, if it is not delivering any value either to you, then what's happening? That part which is not delivering any value to anyone is a cost. So, any work that you have picked up which is not delivered to the customer is your cost. So if you are taking a lot of stories on the board, let's say you have taken 8 stories here, 3 and plus 5 stories. If you have taken all the 8 stories on the board, what does that mean? This is cost to you. All the 8 stories. Let's say every story has 100 rupees cost. Then the cost right now is 800 rupees. And value delivered right now is 0. Once you deliver 2 stories, let's say 200 rupees worth value you have delivered, but the cost is 600, which is not shared by the customer. So having too much work on the board is not a good idea. That would mean that there's a lot of work in progress and there's no result. Kanban is one concept which actually people started using for inventory, for the stock. The idea is, let's say I'm a production unit and I need some chemicals for producing, I'm a chemical company and I need some raw material for producing the chemicals. But if I have too much raw material in my stock, that is only cost. I have already invested 1,000 rupees, let's say, in that cost. I'm not using that. It's simply lying with me. And I'm going to use that material after 2 weeks and do some chemical production. I could have brought them after 2 weeks, just one day before I started the production. That would have saved some interest on whatever money I have paid to the vendor. That's how this concept of work in progress is caused has come. So typical concept is just in time, if you have heard. Invest just in time. When you want to start the work, invest at that time, just in time. So ideally, if you are using Kanban boards in your personal life also, ideally you should be picking up one story at a time. As a human being, you cannot do two things at a time. Try writing your own name while watching TV. Both the things you have to do equally well. You will miss out on one of them. Either you will, let's say, there's a game where some objects are being fired on the screen. You have to count those objects and you also have to write your name at the same time. You will realize that you will miss one of them because you cannot do multiple things. So, if you can do only one thing at a time, why take up multiple things? Take up only one thing at a time. Okay, that is perhaps very idealistic. The teams may not do it. Think of sorry, a young team who just was started working, very fresh, very enthusiastic. They know that they can do 8 stories in 15 days. They would want to pick up all the work and start. And what would happen in this case more often than not? Towards the end, you realize that they have delivered 2 stories, 6 stories they could not deliver. What does that mean? The cost is high and the value is low. You're not getting any results. Those 6 stories were not completed, will be back to the product backlog once again. Why do that? So and especially when you talk to the team at this point in time to understand why this happened, you took up 8 stories and you're not able to deliver 8 stories, only two you could deliver. Can you help me understand why this happened so that we can improve? The team will tell you many reasons why it could not happen. They'd say, okay, they had some risks which were not identified, they could not estimate, they failed in some estimation, resources were not available in time, the PO did not explain things on time. There can be so many, and all of them are genuine reasons. I'm not saying that the team is giving excuses, but there will be multiple reasons that the team will give, and you will fail to understand. If the team tells 10 things to me why they could not complete the work, for me, what does this mean? Where can I put the things off, or where can I put my control? I'm not able to identify the bottleneck on which I have to focus so that the things will go well. Because there are 10 reasons which is the bottleneck, which is the real culprit, which has impacted most of it. So, what is the best thing to do is minimize the number of stories on the ready, not necessarily on the ready board. It's a good idea to reduce that also, but that we're coming to a little later. On the working board, to do board, uh, rather doing board, this board, minimize the number of stories. Early on, when your team is new and you are also new to the work, that particular product, it's best to take only one story up. Finish that. Any problems you face, you will immediately realize what are the bottlenecks. It's only one story, so it's simple. And you will be able to attack that bottleneck immediately. The team finishes the story in 3 days' time. There is nothing to stop the team to go back, pick up one more story. So for maybe first 1 or 2 iterations, it's good to take only one story at a time. So you also understand the nature of stories, nature of work. You very clearly understand the bottlenecks. And once you have covered your bottlenecks, then you can say the team might want to pick up maybe 2, 3 stories. They have a good judgment after 2 or 3 iterations. So let them decide whether they want to take 2 or 3, not too many. So this is what is the WIP limit. I said like, okay, let the team decide how many stories they want to take. The team decides that they can take up maximum 3 stories at a time. So maximum 3 stories on the board is what their equation should be. Ideally, if I were here, I would put a number here. WIP limit here, 2. And 2 is some number that came to my mind discussing with the team. And system done also is 2. Done cannot have limit because whatever you finish there. This is how you will be able to control WIP cost, and this is how you will be able to control the bottlenecks. Now, as I said, like in this particular case, what has happened? My team, let us say this is a situation where my team has 3 stories on board, and Devdan has 2 stories completed. What will happen if my team completes this story? They have no place to keep it. Devdan board is fully choked. It is to the fullest capacity. So ideally, what my team would do in these situations, and this is the number that I put now, so that situation is not considered here. Ideally, what my team would do, they would not take 3 items on board. They know that the Devdan board is to the fullest capacity. What they would do is, there are 5 people. 2 of them would say, let us go and help the testing team, system testing team. They need to pick up from here. So let us pick up one more story, do it for them, come back so that we can take up one more story for development. And if they pick up one more story and help the system testing team, actually there's something that gets completely done. So they get a full credit, and then they can come back, and when every board has some margin, they can pick up a story. So the flow actually gets improved if you put limits, WIP limits on the Kanban boards. So almost every Kanban board, in excluding the final done, will have WIP limits if you're using Kanban boards really well. So if you people are really using Kanban boards, think about this practically if you want to put up any WIP limits. So want you to digest this Kanban boards and WIP limits for a few seconds. Uh, I really don't have any judgment about number of questions that you will get on this particular topic. But number of questions, whatever it is, you definitely will have some question. This is a very useful concept if you are going to do it practically. Think about that. Okay. So with that, friends, we have completed chapter number 4.
Friends, this is Satish Kamath from Effective Project Management Academy. Many people want to do PMP trainings and they would like to know same questions, different people, and instead of every individual calling again and again on different days, what we have done is we conduct 1 hour introductory session for knowing what we cover in PMP. So in this, please join these 1 hour sessions and you will come to know what is PMP, what is expected while studying PMP, or what are the requirements from PMI side, how to apply for PMP, and all this you will know in real time because this is a real time 1 hour session for letting you know what is PMP, how to study, what benefits are there from PMP, how you will gain from PMP, how much does it cost for you, and how much time you need to spend for this. And also, of course, I will be telling you some simple tips for passing PMP. So, this is what is the intention of this 1 hour session. Please join today on the following, call us on the following number